Hey fellow warriors, Torage the Warrior here, and this is my 5.4 ARMS DPS guide. Now this is the basic guide, and this will focus a lot on warriors that want to switch hit back and forth between ARMS and Fury. The reason for this is that if you're really a dedicated DPS warrior, there are some fights where Fury is better than ARMS and some fights where ARMS is better than Fury in the new Siege of Orgrimmar raid. And these are mostly fights that focus on multi-target. So ARMS is going to be better on Galakras. It's going to be better on the Dark Shaman if you do the strategy where you tank them both together. Slightly better on Spoils of Pandaria. You can use it on Paragons of the Calaxy if you want to be a scumbag, but it really won't help your raid team out that much. But you will see big numbers. Also, if you really want to cut down on raid times, there's some parts in Siege of Orgrimmar that there's just a lot of trash, and honestly you could go Fury for the trash and cut through it a lot faster. So let's kick it off with how to get started here. So how do we gear our ARMS warrior? And if you're going to be a switch hitter, that's easy. Gear like a Fury warrior, with one exception. So we have our weapon here. Now if we were to be Fury, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. We would want two weapons. Now fortunately I've got two weapons here. They are both the crit haste weapons. So they're not the best, but they're good. Now, these work fine for this because they don't have expertise on them. Now, if one of your weapons has expertise, or if both of them have hit, then is when it becomes a problem with weapons. And the reason for that is that with ARMS, you definitely don't ever want to be over 7.5% hit, whereas Fury, it's okay. And also as ARMS, well, as either spec, you don't want to be over or under the 7.5% expertise. So if you've got a weapon like the Gartok Strength of the Faithful that's got a boatload of expertise on it, and you're using that and say this sword, then when you go ARMS, you would want to DPS with this mace, with the one with all the expertise in it, so you don't lose your expertise. You also then want to make sure that you don't have an expertise gem in your other weapon, so you don't want to lose the expertise from that. So you might have to switch up a few things with your weapons to make sure you don't go over those caps. It could get kind of tricky in there. You may have to pick one item that you got to reforge back and forth, which isn't too much of a problem with the mounts that people have, but there's a couple bosses where you can't mount in between. But other than that, you can play with identical gear to Fury as ARMS. So let's go ahead and switch back to ARMS here. And if you really want to set up your stats properly, I always highly recommend going to askmrrobot.com. You just upload your character, make sure it's up to date with your armory and all the stuff you've got on, and then you can just hit the optimize button. It'll tell you pretty much almost with 100% accuracy what you should be putting in as far as gems, what you should be getting as far as enchants, how you should be reforging. And if you want to do the trick with the weapons, you just can tell it to lock whatever you don't want it to change by clicking on it. I know there's a lot of other add-ons and websites that do the similar things. Ask Mr. Robot is the one that I use, so I trust it. If you want it to be even better, you can mess with the SimCraft stuff if you want, but at the levels of gear we have now, there's not a lot of really tough decisions like there used to be as far as Fury goes, which of course, like I said, you'll be gearing for Fury, pretty much for ARMS. That brings us to glyphs and talents. So we've got the talents page open here already. Now, first here, I always like to take double time. Warbringer, you're not really going to be stunning things in a raid, and Juggernaut is more often, yes, but I like the utility of being able to charge twice in a row. Next here, I like in a second wind the most. Impending Victory, you're never really going to get a chance to use it with the ARMS rotation. It's not like Fury where sometimes it can be a valuable gap filler, where ARMS you shouldn't be having gaps, and it costs 10 rage to use it anyway, which is the same cost as overpowered. If you do things right, you should pretty much always have an overpower when you need it. And then in rage regeneration is, it's a good survivability thing like second wind, but it's like one more thing you have to deal with, and it's on a minute cooldown, so you don't always have it. Where second wind, if you're below 35%, you always have the heal when you need it the most. 45 tier, staggering shout and piercing howl, a lot of things in raids not that susceptible to CC, and in an AoE interrupt is pretty much invaluable in a lot of fights where there's, or even just trash packs where there's things that cast. Disrupting shout can really give your whole raid a hand. As well, if there's something important to interrupt and you accidentally pummel the wrong thing, you then have disrupting shout as a backup. On top, it's pretty much just the best one to do, because you can Blade Storm, too. You're going to be bladestorming a lot as arms. If you're using it for multi-target fights, of course you're going to be taking bladestorm, and you can disrupting shout during bladestorm. So you don't have to worry about, well, I'll just wait to pummel and then bladestorm and end up doing it at a less optimal time. Which brings us to the next tier, which is bladestorm. Now, if you're a dedicated arms warrior, which I'm going to pretty much do a separate video for that because it's a little bit different. There's like some very, very fine-tuning meta things that if you're playing a dedicated arms warrior, so you're not playing Fury on the single target fights, you're playing arms for that. There's a few things different, but if you are doing that, you'd want to take Dragon Roar. If you're not, which I don't, I do it on the multi-target fights, Bladestorm. Bladestorm is just the best AoE talent you can get pretty much in the game. The 75 tier, now this one used to not matter so much last patch. You could take mass spell reflection because occasionally there were things you could spell reflect, usually on trash. Safeguard is too risky because a lot of the things that you will safeguard someone from will then one-shot you because you take a hit for them. And Vigilance would transfer the damage to you. Now Vigilance, they took that part out, so Vigilance just is a flat 30% damage reduction on whoever you put it on for 12 seconds. So you now have like one of the best tank cooldowns, raid cooldowns that you can have. And take this talent, take Vigilance, put it somewhere where you're going to use it often, and then let your healers know that you have it, let your tanks know that you have it. Because a lot of them, if they're not reading the warrior stuff, they probably don't even know that it's good now. So use it, wear it out, it's awesome. And the last tier is Bloodbath. Bloodbath is pretty much the best one you're going to get. Stormbolt is really great as Fury now because it hits with both weapons, but arms, you don't have both weapons. Avatar is a 3-minute cooldown. It lines up with your banner and your recklessness. In single target, it may compare to Bloodbath, but you can get 3 Bloodbaths for 1 Avatar. So chances are it might not end up lining up. And again, this is a switch hitting kind of guide, so you're talking about mostly multi-target fights, and Bloodbath combined with Bladestorm is awesome, and it shares the same cooldown with Bladestorm now. They lowered Bladestorm to a 1 minute, so every Bladestorm you can Bloodbath. On to glyphs. Now, I always like to take glyph from Death from Above for pretty much everything, just because the utility of being able to leap in and out whenever you want, and just on command, I want to be there now and I want to do damage to the things that are there, is extremely useful. On top of the fact that if you're not doing that stuff, you can just leap back and forth around the boss and get extra hits in that are off the global cooldown. I really like this glyph. And again, it also used like defensively to just save your ass when you're in a bad situation. You can just leap out of things that would normally you'd be totally SOL and stuck. For multi-target, anything there's going to be 2 or more targets in, you definitely want sweeping strikes. You're going to be using sweeping strikes a lot as arms. It's really, really nice. And this just pretty substantially increases the rage efficiency of your sweeping strikes. Then last we have Glyph of Resonating Power. Now, a lot of people ask me, why do you take Glyph of Resonating Power? Because it's not necessarily a damage increase. So it gives your cooldown 50% longer. So it is, I think, 9 seconds instead of 6 seconds, but it does 50% more damage. So the damage per cooldown ratio of it is the same, but you only have to use it every 9 seconds for the same amount of damage that you would have to use it before for 6 seconds. Another thing that it does is that it makes Thunderclap hit hard enough that if there's 2 or more targets, it actually is ahead of a non-CS slam on your priority list. So if you're just swinging away at things, you don't have Colossus Smash up on multi-target, you can just once your overpowers are up, hit your Thunderclap, and it actually it does a lot of damage. Like we'll get into that. Other useful glyphs, you could take Bull Rush. It's good for rage at the start. However, if you've got the 2-piece of this tier, I wouldn't recommend taking Bull Rush. You've got Colossus Smash up when you start off the fight, in the new 2-piece from Siege of Orgrimmar gives you such good rage efficiency that it'd be kind of a waste to take that glyph. And there's also Glyph of Unending Rage. Now, this is super useful as Fury, where you got to stock up a whole bunch of rage for your burst, but as arms, you're kind of getting Colossus Smashes more frequently and less predictably than you are as Fury, so it's not really that great to stock up a whole ton of rage. And just the rage gain and the rage spending as arms is just a lot slower and a lot less hectic than Fury. So there's not that buffer zone of 20, although still useful, not quite as useful. Alright, let's get into the basic rotation. Where did I put that? Nope. Nope. There it is. Alright, so, and also, I've had this up before and people wonder what it is. This is actually just a bartender bar that I have over here, so you can all see what I'm talking about. Alright, and so what I have here is just your basic sequence of things. So, Mortal Strike, 6-second cooldown, so you're going to be using a Mortal Strike every 4th attack. So Mortal Strike 1, 2, 3, Mortal Strike 1, 2, 3. And honestly, I recommend actually counting out your globals. Be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 as you attack. Like if you're having trouble getting the rotation down, or you're accidentally delaying your Mortal Strike, I would actually recommend doing that. But in between that, our priority is Colossus Smash, and then if Colossus Smash is up, Slam over Overpower. If Colossus Smash is not up, Overpower over Slam. So pretty much our rotation is going to look a little bit like this. So we're going to hit Mortal Strike to start with. We're going to hit our Colossus Smash. We're going to hit Slam, Slam. Not going to, even though we have Colossus Smash up, Mortal Strike is still priority over everything. So we'll hit our Mortal Strike, and then we'll hit our Slam. So we notice here that the Colossus Smash debuff duration lasts for 6 seconds, and the cooldown of Mortal Strike is for 6 seconds. So this means that unlike Fury, where it's very important that you do Mortal Strike Colossus Smash and not Colossus Smash, or excuse me, Bloodthirst Colossus Smash and not Colossus Smash Bloodthirst, here it really actually doesn't matter when you use your Colossus Smash. So we have our Colossus Smash, Slam, Slam, Mortal Strike, Slam. Now, if we were to say get our Colossus Smash come off cooldown and we get a proc here, that's how we'd switch it around. We'd be using the same abilities but in a slightly different order. So we'd hit our Mortal Strike, we'd hit our Overpower, we'd get our Colossus Smash off cooldown or proc or whichever, hit our Colossus Smash, go to Slam, hit Mortal Strike, Slam, Slam, then our Overpower, or our Colossus Smash is gone, so we go back to Overpowering. And yet again, you can do it just before the Mortal Strike, so we hit our Mortal Strike, Overpower, Overpower, then we get our Colossus Smash, then we hit Mortal Strike, and then we just 3 slams in a row. So those are pretty much all of the scenarios that you can really run into. Now, you may be wondering how, like when we get over here, how we've got our Mortal Strike, Overpower, 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 and Mortal Strike only gives you 2 charges of Taste for Blood, which is the thing that lets you use Overpower. So if we look here, we've got our Mortal Strike, we've got our 2 Overpower charges, we've got our Colossus Smash, we've got our Mortal Strike giving us 2 more Overpower charges that we don't use because we go Slam, Slam, Slam. Then we hit Mortal Strike again, giving us 4 Overpower charges. So that lets us go Overpower, Overpower, Overpower. Then we hit our Mortal Strike again, so we use 3 of our 4. Now we've got 2 more, so that gives us 3 again. So we can go Overpower, Overpower, Overpower again. So, and usually by that time, like that's like 3 rotations away now. We've either gotten a proc or something by then. So you actually end up very rarely using a non-Colossus Smash Slam if you're doing things correctly. Now, as far as when Colossus Smash is up and using slams a whole lot, so let's look at this a little differently. Here, let me switch things around. Now here's a different situation where we've got ourselves a lot of Colossus Smash procs. Now, if you're looking at before where we were using our Mortal Strike and then 3 Overpower charges and Mortal Strike and then 3 Overpower charges again. Now you're thinking those Overpowers are only costing us 10 rage apiece. And our Mortal Strike is giving us 10 rage, plus we have all of our basic attacks on top of that, plus if that Mortal Strike crits, we're getting 20 rage because we get 10 more from the Enrage. So you're thinking that we're probably really, really rage positive by then. Now this is where we get to use all of that rage, is when we get a bunch of sudden death procs for our Slam, our Colossus Smash rather. So we get our Mortal Strike, we get our Colossus Smash, we Slam, Slam. Now even if we get a Colossus Smash anywhere in here, we don't want to overlap. So if we get a Colossus Smash here, we don't want to use our Colossus Smash there. We want to wait until our other Colossus Smash has worn off. So we still do our Mortal Strike, Colossus Smash, Slam, Slam, Mortal Strike, Slam, Colossus Smash again, and then Slam, Mortal Strike, Slam, Slam. So that's kind of what things would look like if we get a lot of Colossus Smash procs. Now, this may seem very like rage negative to you, because I mean these slams here, they're 25 apiece. And then we've got our melee swing going on there. The Colossus Smashes are free, and we are getting rage from the Mortal Strike. These are still really expensive. These are still a lot of rage. Now, this is also another reason why the 2-piece bonus from this tier is really, really good for arms. So it's giving us, every time we use an ability, so like special attacks against a target with your Colossus Smash debuff, generate 5 rage. So we hit our Mortal Strike, we get ourselves, you say we get a crit, we get ourselves 20 rage. We hit our Colossus Smash, which is free. Then we hit our Slam, which essentially now costs us 20 rage. So that'll, you know, somewhere in here we've had a melee swing. So that's these 2 slams in here from that, which both cost 20. Then we hit our Mortal Strike, which now generates 15 rage, because we still have our Colossus Smash debuff up. And if we get an rage, we're getting 25 rage from that. And then we hit our Slam again, so costing us that 20 of that 25 rage. Then we hit our Colossus Smash again, which will cost nothing. And then we kind of do the same thing again. So we hit our Slam, which, you know, so you can see how it kind of all fits together. Especially if you've got that tier bonus. If you don't have some rage stocked up, you might find yourself using a few overpowers during Colossus Smash, which is fine. Like if you run out of rage here, go ahead and throw an overpower in there. It's not that big of a deal. Overpower is still very good under Colossus Smash. It's just not good as good as Slam, unless you do the thing where you're specifically geared for it, which I will talk about if I make an advanced dedicated arms video. Now, we haven't talked a whole lot about Heroic Strike yet. That's because as arms, like, you're really not going to be furiously heroic striking very much like you will as Fury. You still will throw them in there, so we're doing our normal rotation here. You know, if we are going through, probably if we're doing a bunch of slams, we won't have the rage for it. But if we're getting a bunch of overpowers, yeah, go ahead and bleed off your rage into heroic strikes. So pretty much if you're getting to that 90-ish point on rage, that's when you're going to want to throw a heroic strike in there. You definitely don't really want to dump all your, like, save up rage and then spam heroic strike when you hit Colossus Smash, because remember, during Colossus Smash you're going to be hitting all these slams. So let's see what this rotation actually looks like. See if I can not screw this up. We got our slams, Mortal Strike, Slam, we're out of slams, Overpower, Overpower, back into Mortal Strike. Got 3 overpowers in a row. 1, 2, 3. Back to Mortal Strike. 1, 2, 3 overpowers again. Mortal Strike again. Now we just ran out of charges, but we just got another Colossus Smash. So Slam, Slam, Mortal Strike, Slam, then back to overpowers. 1, 2. Mortal Strike. 1, 2, 3 overpowers. Mortal Strike again. 1, 2, 3 overpowers. See how I get a Colossus Smash right as I run out of charges? 1, 2 slams. Mortal Strike. 1, 2 slams. I think I had an extra slam in there. Overpower. Mortal Strike. 1, 2, 3 overpowers. Mortal Strike. 1, 2, 3 overpowers. Mortal Strike. Before I even run out of charges, I get another slam. I can do my bloodbath again. 1, 2, 3 slams. Like I actually hit an extra slam there because I lost count. And that's pretty much how it goes. I mean, like I said, you hear me counting. Like you can do that. That actually helps a lot if you're struggling with your count. So see right there, pretty much just doing the basic rotation, holding about 340 or not 340, 240, 240k by myself, no buffs. I do have a pretty decent item level. I'm at 559. But that leads me to another thing. Now, arms still scales a lot on gear, but it's a little bit different than Fury. Fury, like, weapons are super important, but like crit is king. Like, you can't even play Fury if you don't have like 30% crit. It doesn't even work. Now, arms, crit necessarily isn't the bar at the gate of arms, but a high item level weapon is. All this stuff is arms. These are all, you know, your Immortal Strike, your Colossus Smash, your Overpower, and your Slam are all weapon percentage based. So high item level weapons will make you good at arms. Low item level weapons will make you very, very bad at arms. Also, as we kind of saw there, the burst is about the same. Just pop, wreck, and banner. Go right into your Mortal Strike Slam combination with Bloodbath up. Now, as soon as your Colossus Smash wears off, or your Mortal Strike Colossus Smash, as soon as your Colossus Smash wears off, that's just when you're going to hit your Dragon Roar if you're taking Dragon Roar. if you are taking Bladestorm. Actually, you know what? Let's go somewhere else to talk about that. Alright, so here we are at the AoE target dummies in Orgrimmar, so we can look at our multi-target stuff. Now, the only real difference here is that we're going to be hitting Thunderclap whenever we can. Remember, like I said, with the Resonating Power glyph, Thunderclap is actually really good damage, so you're going to want to definitely use that. And then we want to use our Bloodbath and Bladestorm together as often as we can. And we're pretty much, other than that, going to keep up our normal single target rotation while trying to maintain sweeping strikes. So let's just have a look at that. We're going to start in here. Alright, so we're just going to start in here now. Let's see, I could do a Heroic Leap. Heroic Leap is kind of hard to do on these target dummies just because they're in such an awkward spot up against the wall there. But let's see what we can do here. So charge in, blow all our cools, hit our Thunderclap, lag a bunch because we have fraps running, and then go straight into our Bloodbath Bladestorm. And then we put up Sweeping Strikes. Probably Sweeping Strikes should have been up beforehand. Then we just go to town with our single target. That was kind of terrible, actually. I think I'm going to do that again. I don't think I hit it Thunderclap in there, did I? I did hit Thunderclap. Alright, so we can see from that, with, you know, just by myself here, about 700k DPS. And that's burst, obviously, from the AoE. And we can look at the damage breakdown. So, whoop. Let's see if I can make it a little bigger here. So we can see that most of that is from Bladestorm. And a good chunk of that is from Bloodbath. We can also see that the one Thunderclap in there did a lot of damage. So we have like a 700k almost Thunderclap, and that's landing 4 targets. Also this cleave here, don't be confused by this cleave. This is not cleave, this is the trinket cleave. So let's just go right back into it here. I think all my stuff is worn off, but so if we're going back into it here, just our single target after that. So let's do our Bladestorm. Probably should have put Thunderclap up. We'll do that right now. So we're just going to hit our Sweeping Strikes, and we're going to continue on with our normal rotation. Nope, missed a Mortal Strike. And you'll see that we are sweeping all of that onto the other targets. Still going to be hitting Thunderclap on cooldown, because, like we saw before, it does a lot of damage. And that's pretty much it. So keep Sweeping Strikes up. Bladestorm on cooldown. Thunderclap on cooldown. And if you want to get fancy, you can just like Heroic Leap back and forth all the time. Like I said before, it's kind of hard to do them on target dummies just because they're like up against a wall and it's hard to get a good camera angle and stuff. But definitely you want to be using Heroic Leap on cooldown if you can. Like, by all means, if you are having trouble, it's kind of tricky to land Heroic Leap sometimes. I mean, it's an off-click thing. It's not what you're typically doing. If you find yourself messing up Heroic Leaps a lot, you're either landing in places where you're not near other stuff and you're completely wasting it, or you spend too much time and you end up missing or delaying a global because you're trying to fiddle with your Heroic Leap. Just don't do it. It's not that much of a damage boost. That's all there really is to talk about right now for ARMS DPS. If you've got any questions, if I missed anything, or if I got anything wrong, please let me know in the comments below. If you want to look out for my sort of theory update that will be coming out hopefully soon, as well as other things, occasionally I do something called a Rage Talk where I just talk about various warrior related stuff, then you should subscribe to my channel to keep up with all of that. Also, on a side note, if anyone didn't notice, there's a ton of people around me now, and this is because I actually did end up moving servers to US Mal'Ganis. Also, I know it's in just a couple of days, but BlizzCon is coming up, and I will be there. Super, super looking forward to it. So if you're going to be at BlizzCon, I'll see you there. If you're not, well then I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching, Warriors.